Hi guys, today we are doing page 276, 1 through 50 odd, that's section 6.4 factoring, where we are learning to do trinomial factoring, where A, the lead coefficient, equals 1. So the only coefficient it has is a 1. Okay. So first we're going to do a little exercise where we are going to practice two numbers that multiply to 39 but add to 60. Okay, so what I want you to do is think of two numbers that multiply to 39 and sum to 16. So we're looking for the sum down here. Looking for the sum right at the bottom and the product up here. Okay. All right. Pause the recording. Now, if you're unsure, start going with your factors and make a factor tree. It's not a lot of factors of 39. 1 and 39. 2 doesn't go. 3 goes. 3 and 13. And those are the only factors. And as you can see, it's positive 3 and positive 13. And those are the only factors that we have. So always go with your factors first and see if you can find two that add up. Okay, let's pause the recording and let you try one. So positive 3. Now we're using their signs too. Okay? Now we have 5 more to do. As a warm-up, I'll do one more with you. So again, I'm going to be looking at, before you even look at the signs, when I'm thinking about the factors of 12, I don't really look at negative 12. I'm going to kind of in my head go, okay, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And you're going to say, do any of those add or subtract up to? Well, 4 minus 3. So if 4 is positive and 3 is negative, then that would add to positive 1 and multiply to negative 12. Okay, pause the recording and let's try the rest on your own. All right, let's check our work. So, what would multiply to positive 4 and add to negative 4? Well, we really only have 2 and 2, so how about negative 2 and negative 2? Multiply to positive 4, but add to negative 4. Okay, the next, what adds to 0? So again, it multiplies to negative 4. So again, my factors of 4 are 1 and 4, 2 and 2. So what adds to 0? Adds or subtracts to 0. It would have to be a negative 2 and a positive 2. Okay, what multiplies to, it's a product here. Please make sure this is all written in your notes. And this is a sum. So what multiplies to negative 24? I don't think you have to do this little factor tower, but in case you're wondering, 1 and 24, 2 and 10, 6 and 4, right? If they're both negative, I need it to multiply to it's not 2 and 10, 2 and 12. Sorry. 2 and 12, and then we have 8 and 3. So I think it's this, 2 and 12. So if 12 is positive and 2 is negative, because we know that the overall number is positive, so the bigger number has to be positive. All right, let's go again. And the last one, we could do 1 and 42. 3 goes into 42. 3 goes 1 and 14. 6 we forgot about 2 and 21. 4 doesn't go. 5, 6, and 7. Okay, I think 3 and 14 are going to have to be it. And for this to be positive, the 14, the bigger number, has to be positive, and the 3 is negative. Okay. Let's try some more. Go. So we're looking for 56 and 15. Put it in the chat. Oh, well, I'm not doing the chat. Never mind. 56 and 15. Hopefully you're coming up with 8 and 7. And now we're going to try these. Pause the recording, and let's try these on your own. All right, so for negative 40, 10 and 4. Negative 10, positive 4. For 80 is negative 16 and negative 5. Negative 5, because if it's positive, when you multiply them, they both have to be. Next one would be, how about 11 and 4? No. 2 and 22. Negative 2, negative 22, and positive 2. 66. Let's go 30. Let's go 21 and, well, we've got, let's see. I've got 1 and 66, 2 and 33. That seems to work. 3 and 21, 4 no, 5 no, 6 and 11. I think this is it. And 33 is going to be positive, 2 has to be negative. 48. This has a lot of decimals, so a lot of factors. So 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, I think that's it. Negative 12, positive 4. So when in doubt, make the factor tower. You don't have to make the factor tower. This X marks the spot is what we're going to be using to factor our trinomials. Okay, so here's our lesson. We're doing x squared plus bx plus c, where there is no lead coefficient right here. Lead coefficient, there's no number here other than 1. Okay, so when factoring, don't worry about when c is positive, because when we use x marks the spot, I just want you to notice that when I add the last two terms, it's the middle term's coefficient. When I multiply the last term, it is the product. So that's what we're going to be using here. If I add the last two terms in the binomials, I get the sum. It becomes the sum of the middle term. And when I multiply the last two terms, it becomes the product of the last term in a trinomial. So we're going to start, and we're going to do our x marks the spot. Since this is always the product, and this is the sum, we're going to make our own x marks the spot. What multiplies to 10 and adds to 7? Okay? What multiplies to 10 and adds to 7? So, when I'm doing my... I don't usually do these factor towers, but since I'm making the tape, I would probably be speaking these out. 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Those are the only factors. And 2 and 5 are going to work. Positive 2, positive 5. So it becomes pretty easy, because then how we factor it, what's the square root of x squared? X. So x times x makes that. And then I have a positive 2 and a positive 5. Both of these add to the middle term, and they multiply to the last term. All right, I don't like the way my paper lies it out, so let's keep going. All right, so let's get started. Again, the last number goes on top. We're looking for a product here, and for a sum down here. What adds together, what multiplies together, right? The product of 20 and the sum of 9. Try that one on your own. Okay, let's do x squared. It's made up of x times x. What two numbers? So 1 and 20, 2 and 10. No. 4 and 5. There it is. Plus 4, positive 4, positive 5. Okay, now pause the recording and try the next two on your own. Okay, what multiplies to 12 and adds to negative 8? Let's check. So 12 is 6 and 2. Negative 6, negative 2. Negative times negative makes a positive. And so here we go. I've got y minus 2 and y minus 6. There we go. Okay. Now when I add these two up, they equal 8, negative 8. And when I multiply this 2, they multiply to 12, positive 12. Last two, what multiplies to 12 and adds to negative 7? How about negative 4, negative 3? So this is going to factor 2. Remember, we have an m squared here, so it's going to be m times m. I have minus 3, minus 4. Pause the recording if you need to. All right, let's go. We're doing it more. We're doing the same thing. Okay, pause the recording and let's check our work. Okay, let's check. We have, a 6 and a 7, so this is going to be x plus 6 times x plus 7. Okay, next one multiplies to 21 and adds to negative 10. How about negative 7, negative 3? So this is m minus 7 times m minus 3. The order doesn't matter. I could have done m minus 3 times m minus 7. What multiplies to 36 and adds to negative 15? 9 and 4, 12 and 3. 12 and 3. So negative 12, negative 3 would add to negative 15. So it's y minus 12 times y minus 3. What multiplies to 24 and adds to 12? It's 6 and, no, not 6 and 4. So 8 and 3, 6 and 4, 12 and 2. So let me do that one. Let's see, 24. This is where I get in trouble. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. There's nothing else. 5 doesn't go in. And none of these add or subtract to 24. Add or subtract to 12. So I would write no, not factorable. It's not factorable. Okay. Oops. Shouldn't have probably done that yet. So that is not factorable. Let's go on to the next one. What multiplies to 24 and adds to negative 11? Well, we've already done that, so how about negative 3 and negative 8? So it's x minus 3 times x minus 8. And there we have it. Okay, now we're going to go to the good stuff. This is where we put it all together with everything we've been doing. Okay, don't worry about when c is negative. Again, we're still doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if c is negative. In ax squared plus bx minus c, don't worry about that because it's still the same thing. What multiplies to negative 10 and adds to positive 3. So I know it still has to be 5 and 2, but since the 3 is positive, the bigger number has to be positive. Positive 5, negative 2. It's the same thing. X minus 2 times x plus 5. Okay? All right, here we go. What multiplies to negative 12 negative 12, positive 4, same thing. It could be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, I think that's it, 3 and 4. So positive 6, negative 2, multiplies to negative 12 and adds to positive 4. So this would be x minus 2 and x plus 6. Okay, let's try the next 3 on our own. So as I'm doing these, remember what multiplies to negative 12 and adds to positive 1. How about 4 and negative 3? So x minus 4. I like you doing them underneath. X minus 4, positive 4, times x minus 3. Right? That adds to positive 1. Those last two add to positive 1. The coefficient here. Okay, let's go to the next one. What multiplies to negative 40 and adds to negative 3, negative 2 and 20, 5 and 8. So let's see. To get 3 negative, the 8 would have to be negative. So it's y minus 8 times y plus 5. Okay. Multiplies to negative 18 and adds to negative 7. It's negative 9 and positive 2. So t minus 9 times t plus 2. All right, hopefully now we're getting to the good stuff. Here we go. Not yet. Okay, I'm going to skip this. Oh, let's go down to the last one. Okay, let's go to our last one. And let's look at p to the 4th. So the difference here is that when you make your factor towers, you're still doing negative 35, negative 2. So negative 7, positive 2. But when you factor this, p to the 4th, what times itself? It would have to be p squared times b squared. Plus 2 minus 7. Okay, so when I do my inner term, here's my 2p squared minus 7p squared. That makes, wait a second, it should be a 5 here, right? A 5. When I do my negative 7, positive 5p squared, it gives me that middle term. Okay, you can always double check it, multiply it back to see if you get that answer. That's the thing about factoring. Okay, let's look at the one with 2 variables. Okay, so here we go. If I have, okay, I'm still using those same numbers. The one on the end is negative 24 and negative 10. So how about negative 12 and positive 2? Now, when you go to factor this, notice in the first position it's an A. Okay, but there's no coefficient, so it can be close to the parenthesis. But B has a coefficient. So when I do A, it's A and B. But B is going to get these coefficients. So one's going to be plus 2 and one's going to be minus 12. There we go. And we know they go in front of the B because you see it here. Okay, try the next one on your own. How about negative 12 and negative 1? So this is going to be square root of x squared is x times x. The square root of y squared is y times y. We're going to get a negative 1y, or just negative y, and negative 12. I don't usually write the negative 1, So that, when you multiply it back, you should get number 8. Okay, so here we are with our trinomial factoring with no lead coefficient, right? So let's look at what's going to happen. Every time we factor, we should say, is there a GCF? Step 1, is there a GCF? Okay, I'm seeing a 3 divides into all 3. So number 1 is that we're going to look for the greatest monomial factor. Okay, number 2, now I'm going to see if I can still factor the rest. What multiplies to 12 and adds to 7? How about a positive 4 and a positive 3? So I have 3, and then I'm going to factor this out to square root of x squared is x times x, right? It's x. So, and then we're going to have a plus 3 and a plus 4. So here we're doing our trinomial factoring. I want to see you doing X marks the spot on everything today. I want to see it right next to the problem. You can do it on the side, to the left, but I want to see that. Okay? Next one. Is there a GCF? No. Okay, so it looks like it's just trinomial factoring. So we're going to say what multiplies. It doesn't look like a perfect square. First one's a perfect square, last one's a perfect square, but the middle term is not double. So what multiplies to 4 and adds to negative 5? How about negative 4 and negative 1? So to factor x to the 4th, I'm going to do x squared, right? X squared times x squared. And then I'm going to have a minus 1 and a minus 4. So first, we're doing our trinomial factoring. Just regular trinomial factoring with x marks the spot. Oops. Now, the thing to look at is what we're left with are 2 difference of squares. So I have to keep factoring. X squared minus 1 is x plus 1, x minus 1, x squared minus 4 is x plus 2, x minus 2. There we go. All right, let's keep going. Now we have 2 variables. First, step 1, do we have a GCF? Yes, we do. So my GCF is a y. Okay, now I know that when I do this, I know that when I factor it, because I have 2 variables, on the left side I'm going to have a y. On the right side I'm going to have an a. And now we have to decide what multiplies to 6, the last term, and adds to the middle term. Negative 3, negative 2. There we go. So both of those are the coefficient of a. Has a coefficient, not y, so it would have to be minus 2a minus 3a. Here we go again. What multiplies to negative 12 and adds to negative 1? How about negative 4 and 3? So I'm going to get x squared times x squared minus 4 plus 3. This breaks down to x plus 2 times x minus 2 times x squared plus 3. Okay? Now if you had done it x squared plus 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 2, that's fine too. The order doesn't really matter. And that, my friends, is our, I believe that's the last slide. Yep, that is our recording. I'm out.